Hello, this is Full Album Playlist, and this is a channel where I make playlists for various albums that for some reason don't have the topic version available on YouTube. A lot of times they have music videos and I just don't like listening to that way, so I started creating playlists and seen I got some subscribers, so decided I wanted to start doing some album reviews. I listen to albums a lot, and I'm going to call this series Album Spotlight. The point of this series will be to highlight albums I think are underappreciated. I feel like on YouTube, a lot of the people talking about music broadly mention the same artists and albums. Here, I just want to sing my praises of artists and albums I think are worthy of sharing or even dominating that spotlight. And I thought, why not kick off this series with my favorite album of all time, Apollo 18 by They Might Be Giants. And I think it is a perfect album in my eyes. First off, the album cover might be my favorite ever, which is sourced from this magazine called Fate. This is an amazing illustration of a squid and a whale wrestling in the vastness of space, with just a little space capsule in the corner. It somehow conveys the emptiness of space while filling the image with all these moving parts. It also gives off this feeling of a Lovecraftian tale, like we are small in the grand scale of the universe, with these Leviathan sea creatures locked in battle in space that with one move could wipe out the tiny human spacecraft without even knowing they killed something. It's like if two guys were wrestling and fell on top of an ant. I will come back to this feeling once I dive deeper into the music, because the songs also continually refer back to this theme of space, the void, space travel, and science in general, with the album's title being a reference to the canceled Apollo 18 space mission that was supposed to follow the Apollo 17. This title also refers to the track list, which is 18 songs long. Also, this theming was so strong that NASA gave this album their stamp of approval. This can be seen on the back cover of the album. Here you can see that it says, "They Might Be Giants are musical ambassadors for International Space Year." This is because apparently 1992 was the International Space Year. And from what I read on Wikipedia, this was the quincentenary of Christopher Columbus's voyage to the Americas. And for those who don't know what a quincentenary is, don't worry, because I also had to look it up. And it just means the 500th anniversary, because Chris Columbus sailed the ocean blue in 1492. Another fun fact about Chris Columbus is that in 1992, he directed the famous film Home Alone 2, Lost in New York, which features Donald Trump.
Excuse me, where's the lobby?
Down the hall and to the left.
Thanks.
Anyway, I got a little bit sidetracked there, but that's another thing I love about They Might Be Giants. I always learn new things from their lyrics and music in general. And this album in particular sees They Might Be Giants moving towards more scientific and educational music in general, which I will talk about more later. But there are definitely little hints of what's to come later in their discography with albums like No and their Here Comes series of albums, especially Here Comes the Science. Starting at the top, the album kicks off with an explosive rock song called Dig My Grave. I personally think that the loud, fast-paced, short intro track is sonically to represent the Big Bang, with the track list after this point expanding to longer, more intricate songs. It also is lyrically already tying into the themes of impending doom and death. And speaking of death, here is another song immediately dealing with it in the trademark tongue-in-cheek way only They Might Be Giants can.
You son of a bitch, Palindrome I.
With a song centered around palindromes and receiving inheritance. This song encapsulates perfectly one of the things I love most about They Might Be Giants' writing style, which is their use of a dark sense of humor to highlight and often obscure concepts or ideas. This song in particular taught me what the word palindrome means, which is a word that is written forward and backwards the same way. And this song makes use of many palindromes, such as mom and dad, and describes this phenomenon with lyrics like, "I am the snake head eating the head on the opposite side," which evokes the image of an Ouroboros. The song also has this back and forth momentum throughout to tie the whole song concept together.
She's actual size.
The next song, She's Actual Size, sees another drastic change in musical style, with it having a swing influence with this leading horn section. And I was never really too sure what exactly the song is about, but from what I can tell, it seems to be a breakup song centered around the iconic saying on rearview mirrors, objects may appear larger than actual size. It also appears the singer has lost confidence as a result of his girlfriend breaking up with him. With the lyric, "Big men often tremble as they step aside. I thought I was big once. She changed my mind." In the chorus, she's actual size, but she seems much bigger to me, implying that she's the size of a normal person, but she has made him feel small with her big personality. And then later the lyric says, "Squares may look distant in her rearview mirror, but they're actual size." This is saying that the writer of the song, John Flansburgh, is the square or nerd that she is leaving behind in the rearview mirror, and that he looks distant and small, like he's no longer significant to her. Like she dumped him and now he feels less of a man or has less confidence as a result.
My evil twin.
The next song is called My Evil Twin, and it is one of the most straightforward rock songs on the album. It's about as standard as an early They Might Be Giants song could be, which is saying something because it still has a lot of quirkiness that other bands could only wish to achieve. With this regal-sounding keyboard driving the song and thumping drum line, as well as the off-kilter lyrics centered around an evil alter ego that the narrator blames all of his bad deeds on, such as doing donuts on the neighbor's lawn. And we know the singer and his evil twin are one and the same, from lyrics like, "My friends have seen him hiding underneath my skin." This song is an interesting little dive into the subject matter of split personality disorder. Another line I wanted to highlight is, "It scares me so, like I scare myself with that book of Nostradamus upon my shelf," which portrays the paranoia this person is feeling. It's the same paranoia that plagues people that fall for conspiracy theories, which is what someone who believes Nostradamus' predictions would fall victim to. At this point, I want to refer back to the educational aspects of this album and its connection to science because this song is called Mammal.
Mammal.
And that's what the song is about. It's damn near a song where They Might Be Giants just sing the definition of a mammal straight from a Merriam-Webster dictionary. But this is a fun little song to sing along to, and I have learned from. Although I still have a tough time pronouncing monotreme and allotheria. But now I do know that a montreme is the name of a mammal that lays eggs, such as the platypus and echidna, and allotheria are extinct mammals with specific type of teeth that are closely related to a modern-day marsupial. Also, this song does reference the cover again, since a sperm whale is a mammal. Of all the songs on this album, I must say this one really does sound like what is to come from future They Might Be Giants. Like this song really would fit right in on Here Comes the Science because of how straightforward of an educational song this is. Despite it being so straightforward, the song still is a great addition to the album as an experience and leads nicely into a more upbeat and not so straightforward song lyrically.
The statue got me high.
This next song is a tough one to interpret because there is no real straightforward interpretation to glean from this song. It's one of those songs that it seems you need to apply your own meaning to. Although I am sure there is some meaning that Linnell had in mind when writing it, if you take it literally, it's about a guy who is so impressed with a statue that he feels euphoria just from staring at it, and then self-immolates. With lyrics like, "The statue got me high, and though I once preferred a human being's company, they pale before the monolith that towers over me." And later there are lyrics like, "My coat contained a furnace where there used to be a guy," implying he burned to death to the point he is just a pile of ash. Now I've seen some explanations online for this song's meaning that I think are all fine, but after listening to it some, I think it's a combination of things. One interpretation I agree with that I read is that They Might Be Giants are trying to replicate some of their success they saw with Birdhouse in Your Soul, with it being a non-straightforward song about a nightlight. So let's do a pop rock song about a statue that is also hard to interpret. But this time I think it's actually a meta follow-up about the success of Birdhouse in Your Soul and their place in the rock scene. It's almost like this Gremlins 2 or Scream 2 approach. Like they are kind of poking fun at what blew them up. I think they are saying that Birdhouse in Your Soul is the statue that got them high in terms of success and money. I also think that they chose Statue because they are a rock band and Birdhouse in Your Soul is a rock song. And the album Flood is the monolith as their only platinum record towering over them. And I think all of the references to death, like The Rock, It Killed Me, is saying that they don't think they will ever see the success they saw with that song and album again. And I think the final bit of the song that says, "And as a screaming fire engine siren fills the air, the evidence will vanish from your charred and smoking chair. And what they found was just a statue standing where the statue got me high." This line is saying that they will disappear from the public eye, and all anyone will find is that brief window of success preceding Apollo 18. Now that is a morbid and self-aware interpretation of the song, but like I said, there are many other ways to interpret this. I didn't even mention the music video, which has all these great NASA references and space themes, with the Milky Way on display and astronauts doing their thing. The sound of the song is great, which goes without saying as well. With the use of the accordion and brass instruments in the background, this great guitar lead and pounding drumline and catchy chorus, it's obvious that they were propping the song up to be the hit of the album, much like Birdhouse in Your Soul, which is what led me down the path of my interpretation of the song.
He is our hero.
Oh, well, now I gotta talk about Spider. I'm not sure what there is even to say about this. It is basically just a theme song for a superhero named Spider. All these villainous sounding characters talking about trying to kill Spider, and civilian voices saying, "He is our hero." It's a very weird song and has weird placement in the album. For me personally, I don't love this song or hate it, but I do not like the placement in the album of this song. I wish it was closer to the end of the album, like right before Fingertips. Honestly, I could do without it completely, but it is needed to make do on the promise of the album title being Apollo 18. Meaning with it included, we have 18 songs on the album, but yeah, I always felt this song just feels out of place on this album. It doesn't really fit the science and space theme of the album too well, and it's just sandwiched in between two really good songs. So it ends up just getting skipped by me to the next song. I remember when I first listened to this album, and this song immediately blew me away. I would listen to the song on repeat for a long time. It just has this great rhythm to it, amazing bass line, and catchy lyrics that make it fun to jam to and sing along with. And you can tell it was meant to stand out as a single with the reprisal of the "In the Jungle, the Mighty Jungle, the Lion Sleeps Tonight" chorus that is now "In the Spaceship, the Silver Spaceship, the Lion Takes Control," that gives the song a great They Might Be Giants spin. It harkens back to the NASA and scientific theme of the album while providing a tongue-in-cheek juxtaposition of a lion riding a spaceship instead of sleeping in the jungle. And for the rest of the song, the lyrics of "Hey, who's that playing the guitar?" seem to be poking fun at fans or listeners not being familiar with the giants behind the music. This is further noted when he says, "Is it Jim? I don't know." Like the person listening to the song is confused about the guitar player mistakenly calling him Jim instead of John. Also, with this constant strumming of the guitar, it makes it feel like maybe someone just showed up and started playing guitar on the song and the giants themselves are confused about it. Either way, it ends up being this funny little pop rock song. I also love the inclusion of the horn sections and breakdowns in the song. The song is really just a bright spot on the album to me. It showcases their humor and brings some lighthearted fun to the experience of the album.
Dinner bell, do the bell thing.
This next song continues the science theme of the album with the references to the famous experiment of Pavlov's dog. Short explanation of the experiment is that every time Pavlov would give a dog a treat, he would ring a bell at the same time. Then when he rang the bell, the dog would expect to get a treat even if he didn't have one to get. This was lampooned in an episode of The Office here.
The scientist who trained dogs to salivate at the sound of a bell by feeding them whenever a bell rang. So for the past couple weeks, I've been conducting a similar experiment. Altoid?
Sure. Ventoid? Ventoid?
What?
I don't know. My mouth tastes so bad all of a sudden.
And it's pretty obvious this is what the song is about from the lyrics of the Giants listing different foods that the dog isn't sure he wants to eat because he is waiting for the dinner bell to tell him when and what to eat. We even have background lyrics saying, "Experimental dog, salivating dog, good dog." These background lyrics are explicitly explaining that the narrator in the song is from the perspective of a dog this experiment is being applied to. I think the music itself even perfectly encapsulates the experiment, with the song starting out with these piano jabs and slowly introducing other musical instruments like the bass and drums, like it's building up to the dinner bell ringing, and with the lyrics becoming increasingly impatient for the bell to ring. And there's some subtle, almost bell-sounding piano notes during the backwards vocal part. There is also even this almost Russian-sounding end to the song, which I feel is hinting towards it being about Pavlov, who was a Russian scientist. This is a great addition to the track list that is really fun to sing along to, which could really be said about every song on here, but I can't help but say that because They Might Be Giants are just so good at making catchy songs like this. This next song is also a great song to sing along with because it also is catchy as hell. And for me, this might be my favorite song on the album, and is one of my top They Might Be Giant songs ever. It is just one of their most solid pop rock songs they have ever written. It's a pretty straightforward breakup story that has this great bassline, catchy chorus, driving accordion, and accordion solo that has become trademark They Might Be Giants. This has Flansburgh singing about what to me always read as a fear of commitment, especially the line, "You don't want to understand, I don't want to shake your father's hand and walk in the sand and act like a man," which sounds like he doesn't want to get married or go through the ceremony like shaking her father's hand, like having her father's approval, and him walking her down the aisle. Or walking in the sand makes me picture some wedding on a beach, which he doesn't want to commit to. And this song has some other lines that really paints this picture, which also makes it one of my favorite songs from them. And as the song progresses, it just becomes clearer that this relationship has fallen apart with the lines, "We'll take back everything we said, split up all the things and move ahead, forget how you said we'll split the side off the bed," which implies they were living together and are now deciding how to split their things so that they can each move on with their lives. I also like the sentiment throughout the song of him being cordial and breaking up amicably, with lyrics like, "I just can't bear to tell you some lies." This gives me the feeling that he wants to break up now and not waste any more of her time with a marriage that he knows will end in divorce. And then we also get the title of the song, "Narrow Your Eyes," which to me represents tears being shed over the process of this breakup from both parties. And then it ends with the lines, "Now let's toast the sad cold fact our love's never coming back and we'll race to the bottom of a glass," which is one of my favorites in the song. It represents the both of them drinking the pain away that they feel from being apart, but shows that the decision was the correct one that both will be able to live on. It's just a really amazing song that tells a story that nearly every band and musician has told through song, done at a high level. Now we are coming from a pretty conventional breakup song according to They Might Be Giant standards and going to a very unconventional song with Hall of Heads. This song is about something that no other more normal band or artist would write about. It's a song that fits into the album as a sort of dark return to the abnormality of the album. It signifies the start of the rest of the album in a lot of ways because after this point the album goes into some strange musical and lyrical places. I also get a strong, kind of spooky vibe from this half of the album. It kind of feeds into that spacious, lonely, Lovecraftian, and dark vibe I talked about in the beginning about the cover of the album. The song is about getting trapped in a place called the Hall of Heads with giant disembodied heads rolling around to try and crush you. And it starts out with you peeking through the keyhole like you are spying on the secret society that you stumbled upon. It literally reminds me of the movie called Society, which I can't show clips of because it's basically a movie about a group of high society rich people melting together in a body horror orgy. But I get reminded of that movie from this song because I get the story of a guy just stumbling into this weird place filled with body horror monsters and hiding, running, and trying to escape. Even musically, the song starts with this instrumental bit that sounds like the background music of our protagonist creeping up to the Hall of Heads out of curiosity to see what's inside. Then we get this formal sounding violin and piano that sounds like maybe that's the high-class classical music the heads are listening to when the singer peeks through the keyhole. And then the music kicks into this rock song that sounds like it's accompanying a chase scene of the heads trying to catch the protagonist. It's really a great song that would fit perfectly into a Halloween party playlist. Because its lyrics are creepy and descriptive, but the song is still enough of a jam that lyrics don't really even matter. And this also is sequenced great in the track list because it feeds perfectly into the next song,
which describes how you're feeling all the time.
With the weird kind of creepy vibe that Hall of Heads set up for the second half of the album, this song perfectly follows it up, with its sparse instrumental and depression-filled lyrics. We get this quick synth followed by guitar chords that repeats and leaves space for instrumental mix-ups. Combined with the repeated use of which describes how you're feeling all the time, that leaves space for lines to fit in to what is describing how you're feeling. It's this quick, minute 13-second song that really packs that time with a dynamic instrumental and impactful message. With scenarios like, there's this guy in the sky and he makes you want to make you sigh, like the time when you felt your feeling all the time, and you sighed at the cracks in the ceiling all the time. To me, this is a description of the feeling of depression, loneliness, and hopelessness. Like he is thinking about death and is so depressed that he has no motivation to do anything besides stare at the cracks in the ceiling. It's a great song for capturing this feeling and presenting it in this neat little package. And it fits into the album's track list perfectly with its vibe and leads into the next song, which is called See the Constellation, and is another solid They Might Be Giants rock song. And this song also harkens back to that space theme of the album, with it being about looking at constellations across the night sky. With it starting out with lyrics like, I lay my head on the railroad track, stare at the sky all painted up, which is the narrator lying down and looking up at the sky. And then we get the chorus, see the constellation bright across the sky, no cigar, no lady on his arm, just a guy made of dots and lines. Which to me sounds like the singer is imagining himself as a constellation and how much simpler his life would be without the worries of relationships and vices. Like he's saying, if only I could just be made of dots and lines, man. This is further emphasized with the line, 2 years ago, moved from my town, I was looking up past the city lights, but the city lights got in my way. Like the singer is literally looking for a simpler life, so he moved from the big city, to get away from the noise of the city lights and to be able to view the true night sky. Also, the song is musically a banger with this punk rock influenced guitar riff and drum beat, and the sample of the Ramones going back and forth throughout the song. And this one doesn't lead as nicely into the next one, but it is contrasted nicely in the next song.
If I wasn't shy.
Which really, this song is kind of the opposite of See the Constellation, with this jazzy, slow instrumental and low energy vocal performance. It's a short song that has this vibe that fits the lyrics perfectly, with the narrator who is low confidence and too shy to do any of the things he wants to. And all of the things he wants to do are kind of crazy and hateful, like burning all the mundane work-related things he's probably fed up with, like uniforms and Ask Me buttons. He also wants to steal things from those more outspoken and extroverted than himself. It's almost like an anthem for the pathetic losers that just daydream about doing things in their lives instead of going out and making a better life for themselves. And this slow jazz musical background almost feels like background theme music to the character in some kind of musical. Like this is the part of the play where the character is thinking about his humdrum life and pining over what he perceives to be his issues and what it'd be like to have a better life. The music almost feels like it's poking fun at the character singing about his shyness. It's this great little playful tune that adds to the album's variety, and its themes are continued in the next song.
Turn around.
In this song, we get another kind of jazzy instrumental with the stand-up bass line, but this time we get more They Might Be Giants-infused rock instrumental. And this song feels even more theatrical than the last one, with the theme of a narrator stuck in a humdrum life and daydreaming seeming to continue, but with a much more fantastical story than just listing things he hates. This time the narrator is describing a time he is working late at night in his office, and he's imagining someone he murdered that came back to life to call him and torture him over the phone. And we get the chorus, turn around, there's a thing there that can be found, turn around. It's a human skull on the ground, human skull on the ground, turn around. Which feels like to me that the narrator just came up with this chorus in his head and is singing it in between the fantastical situations he's imagining while trying to get through the boring work he's up late at night to finish in his office. And with each verse, it feels like he's trying to make a story that fits the chorus. With the second verse, I was out by myself in the graveyard. I was doing an interpretive dance when I felt something heavy and pointed strike me in the back of my neck. And then the ghost of my dance instructor pushed me down into an open grave, and as dirt rained down, she played a xylophone and sang me this song. And then returns to the same chorus, like he's trying to develop a story around this chorus he has in his head and is getting more elaborate each time. The song also brings in some fun, sort of spooky themes to the album, with references to ghosts, skulls, and graveyards. This would be another perfect song to put on around Halloween, much like Hall of Heads. And it has this kind of spooky sound to the music as well, with these harmonizing vocal effects that sound like a group of monsters from Nightmare Before Christmas or something, coming together to sing the chorus. And I just love the more spooky, creepy, and dark vibe that this half of the album has carried. But this creepy vibe is continued once again with the next song.
Hypnotist
This song is a fun little rock song with a catchy chorus, cool guitar riffs, and a foot-thumping bass line. But then you look at the lyrics and realize that this song is about a date rapist. I mean, maybe They Might Be Giants knew something we didn't, and this song is secretly about Bill Cosby or something. The lyrics say he's a hypnotist of ladies, and he doesn't use those hypnosis tricks either. He doesn't have a pocket watch, and he never counted backwards, yet you're getting sleepy and you don't remember why you liked him? How could he get these ladies sleepy and lose their memories without roofing them? At least that's what the song seems to imply to me. I think it's a criticism of this man, of course, and a warning to avoid men like this, but still it is kind of sneaky if you're not paying attention to the lyrics, like what is the song about? Although, so is a guy who was roofing women, so maybe that's intentional. Anyway, this short song is the perfect setup for the cavalcade of short musical ideas to come.
Fingertips, fingertips, fingertips.
This next song is actually a collection of 21 short tracks, with the longest only being 1 minute and the shortest being 4 seconds. This song also extends the track list from 18, like I had mentioned, to 38, but counting it as one song still fits the title being Apollo 18. And I think the inclusion of these songs as one unified experience is a brilliant inclusion for this album and pulls the entire experience together with the space theme. The way I view these songs are as mini space songs for astronauts to consume on their journey. I think this song is a reference to astronaut food, which are these compact little tablets that expand into meals once they add water. I always viewed these songs as just little snippets that once the astronauts add water will expand into full songs to satiate them on their journey to the moon. It's a genius idea to introduce this series of songs at the end of the album, because I've been talking about this album as a chronological experience, as a concept album that takes us through a crafted musical journey. But Fingertips is also a way to introduce a new way of experiencing the album right as you near its end. It teaches the listener that if you shuffle the album, that you will get an insane combination of the track list, with all of the small Fingertips songs now being placed at random along with every other song. Now obviously They Might Be Giants didn't invent the shuffle button, but they have utilized it in a way I haven't seen any other band do. Because I don't think people typically ever shuffle an album, but usually use shuffle for a playlist of songs by different artists. People usually opt to listen to an album the way they perceive the artist intended it to be listened to from start to finish. But They Might Be Giants puts the song in there at the end to invite those listening to mix up the track list and experience the album in different ways. We finally close out the album with Spacesuit, a short instrumental track that sounds like a rocket lifting off into space. There are these intentional stops to the rhythm that makes it sound like the countdown to liftoff, and these soaring synth sounds and accordion licks that evoke floating around in space. The song is a great addendum to the album, as it almost operates as an opening track, inviting you to listen to the album over again or try it on shuffle as Fingertips has prepped you for. Also, the song, according to the They Might Be Giants wiki, is the first song They Might Be Giants played at their first show ever, and was one of the first original songs they ever wrote, which makes it a beautiful end to their fourth album, showing that they had some foresight to save the song for an album it fits so well. It's the perfect closer / opener to a perfect musical experience by a genius rock group that I feel still don't get the love they deserve. And that's really going to be it for the video. I hope you liked it, and I'm going to be trying to make more of these album spotlights for even less known artists than They Might Be Giants. That I just wanted to kick the series off with Apollo 18 because it's my favorite album of all time, and it was kind of easy for me to really talk about it. So hopefully you guys will subscribe, like the video, and I'll see you in the next one.